Welcome to the Friday afternoon of Corona litigation today. Um, I'm Warren Norrid of Norrid Law, and I've been involved in some of this Corona litigation since the beginning. And so I think it's interesting enough that people might be interested in seeing what's going to happen here. Today we're going to talk about the Republican Party of Texas and its convention. Of course, this convention has been in the works for several years, and it's supposed to be in Houston starting next week. And so whenever you have a convention like this, you have a big contract. And we're just going to zip through the various things that matter, and I'm going to make everybody dizzy with what we're doing here. Okay, this is the contract for the Republican Party of Texas for the 2020 State Convention. And it's, as you might guess, about 13 pages, and it's for the George R. Brown Convention Center. George R. Brown Convention Center, are we working right?
Yep.
Okay, good. All right, so it holds more than 50,000 people. We're going to put about 8,000 people, plenty of room. And what we're going to find out is that we have a force majeure clause. Now, a force majeure clause is rare. People started really getting excited about this during the Corona starting in February and March. Force majeure. Force majeure is a term that basically means acts of God. And so something happens, you have a contract, and you say, I'm supposed to do a thing. I'm supposed to deliver a bunch of hay, and a tornado hits the back of my warehouse, eats all my hay. I cannot do what I said I was going to do. I say, hey, I can't perform my duties because it's an act of God. The key to a force majeure clause is that you can't perform, and so this is going to excuse your performance. So in this case, we have a force majeure clause, and it's right here. Everybody can read this. It says either party can terminate this agreement. If something happens that's going to stop you from being able to perform, you got to let them know within 7 days after the thing happens. Something can't happen in February, and then you come say, oh, by the way, I can't do this in March or April or May or June. And here we have an interesting note. So this is the 7 days, 7 calendar days after the occurrence. So in February 28th, the first Corona death, oh, it looks like it's arrived in Houston. If they had said, looks like we got a bail on you, that'd be a fight. That'd be a fight. But we could at least say that was within 7 days. So what we had in this case is we had, and I want to go ahead and pull up what the mayor said, and I could actually pull it up on the web. The City Council of Houston has a website where they have their and they have on-the-fly transcription. So what I did was, you can see this, right?
Yes.
Okay, everybody can read this. Say something to Solomon if you can't read it.
Sorry.
These are the actual words by the mayor. And I'll just reach down here. I guess I can't. This is not OCR, so that's too bad. It says, I'm going to look at this, and where there are provisions that allow this convention, allow us to cancel this convention.
They can't see the document.
You can't see the document. Yeah, I've got to switch over. Sorry. Warren plus Chrome. Nope. Warren plus full display. There we go. Better now? So we'll see.
Yeah.
So this is what the mayor said on the morning at the city council meeting. It says, we will exercise those provisions, and if the plan is to cancel this agreement, cancel it today, to not go forward this convention. The other point is that there are no other conventions. Now, in this entire discussion, nobody ever said that they could not actually perform their duties. It's very clear they can perform their duties. They've been working with us. We put together a safety plan to make sure that we're going to be acting reasonably. We're going to wear the mask as appropriate. There's nothing. People seem to act as though we all want to die, or we want to come to the city and spread the disease, or come to Houston. Actually, it's more likely, and get the disease and take it back home. We're going to act reasonably. And I would remind everybody that the Petri dish daycares in Houston are still open. All the liquor stores are still open. All the grocery stores are still open. When people say, well, you're going to kill somebody, that's just crap. That's just a bunch of histrionics designed for one purpose, to shame you into thinking that all the things that they don't like have to stop, although all the things that they want to keep going are going to keep going. Anyway, so the whole point of a force majeure clause is that you are excusing performance because you can't perform. Here's the mayor saying, is there some excuse for us that we can find for why we can get out of this? So later that day, we get you can't perform. We're gonna have feedback. Sorry. Okay. So later that day, James Dickey, it's our state chair, who's been doing an admirable job in defending this thing. And we all know that an online convention is not much of a convention. The Democrats did it. They didn't have any substantial debate. There's no parliamentary procedure. You can't put 5,000 people onto a YouTube or onto a Zoom and say, I'd like to change this language and change that language, makes points of order, points of information. It's simply not the same. And just so we all know, back up a little bit, the Republican Party of Texas, its convention is bigger than the national convention, just because of the way it works. The Republican Party of Texas Republican Convention is the largest demonstration of political speech and freedom of association in the entire world, bar none. Nobody comes close. So this is the reason the country was founded, so people could get together and say, this is the way our government should work or should be fixed, which is usually the case. So James Dickey's recognized that early on. We've been making plans in case everything falls apart, but here we are. So and this is from Houston First Corporation. It's the body, the organization that runs the convention. And they say, due to the unprecedented scope of the epidemic in Houston, when that started in late February, early March. Section 12, which we looked at a few minutes ago, provides a force majeure clause. I'll make this biggie. So everybody, if such occurrence is beyond the reasonable control, whose performance is affected. Okay, so their performance is affected. And so we got a pandemic. We talk about pandemics. How long has that pandemic been going on? Since March. But then they talk about this. Oh, they're going to try to excuse a late-breaking, unprecedented. Hey, guess what? Please get this. Every moment in time is unprecedented. That's kind of the way time works. So when people say it's unprecedented times, just hold your breath and don't be too annoyed by that. Houston has experienced a significant increase in confirmed cases since Memorial Day weekend. When was Memorial Day weekend, everybody? Mid-May, right? More than 7 days ago, straining the availability of healthcare resources. Since when? Since Memorial Day weekend, more than 7 days ago. Has it changed any bit in some substantial way that maybe it's gone up a little bit, maybe it's gone down a little bit? But is it in a way that would impact the ability for the Houston Corporation, for the convention center to operate? No. So if they want to say that they've noticed this since Memorial Day weekend, that's more than 7 days, they don't get to do that. It's too late. Sorry. Now they want to say, oh, we got this letter that says this is really dangerous, a frightening and unparalleled escalation. Is it so escalated that they're going to close down the daycares and liquor stores? No, we're not that escalated. Are we closing down even the restaurants? No, we're not going to. Can you still go to Condom Sense and pick up your medical equipment? Yes, you can still do that. Can you still go to every grocery store in the city? Yes, you can still do that. And you can go to every restaurant and have all the beer and booze you want, but you can't go to a bar and do the same thing because that would be crazy talk. So it's clearly just political stuff. So clear and present danger, that's what this letter says. Did that change reality? No, it did not. And that's what they say. So force majeure. So then let's go back to what it says. Either party, 7 calendar days. Was it within 7 calendar days? No, it was not. So we filed a little lawsuit. And let's look at the lawsuit. Hold in for time. 3:40. We're trying to be done by 4 o'clock. We filed our lawsuit. And we said, you can't do that. And we also pointed out, this has lost a lot of its luster. I have to pull it up in my original. But this is the mayor, I think, in a parade just a month ago. And this is another picture. I should find a good picture of it. Not worth it. Okay, yeah, it is. It's right there. Right there. Is this it? Yes. There's a better picture. There. So are we against this? Of course not. We love this. This is all good stuff. But this is a group of people that did not get condemnation from the mayor. This is all these people. Some of them have masks on, some of them don't. Nobody's social distancing. And that was okay. And then we got the mayor in the parade, you know, having a good time, social distancing. There's some social distancing, some not. Did anybody say we should not do this? No. So this is okay. But the actual and let's put it where it is. This is what's caused the spike. You get all these people, and you want to pretend that didn't spread didn't cause a spike. That's what you want to pretend. This is about a month ago. Yeah, so you can pretend that if you want, but it's not real. So we pointed this out and we said, look, you can't pretend that this is a problem when it's and you can't cause the problem by allowing. Let's do this. You cannot cause the problem by allowing some behavior, and then when that behavior causes the spike, then say, oh, look, there's a spike, so I'm going to shut down other legitimate political freedom of speech that's protected by the Texas Constitution and the federal Constitution, and say it's because it's a sudden thing that I wasn't aware of, although I've been aware of it for months. And so that's no bueno. You can't do that. That's what we said. And then we said, okay, so full display. Here we go. So he also has a financial motivation. If he does this, then the RPT, Republican Party of Texas, is damaged. And we want to always talk about the Constitution is not suspended when the government declares a state of disaster. That's what the Supreme Court said not too long ago. And the whole point is the government should be expected to demonstrate that less restrictive measures cannot adequately address the threat. Whenever a government wants to act to restrict a protected action that's protected by our Bill of Rights, it has to use the least restrictive manner of doing that. The least restrictive is to force us to be safe. That's what it gets to do. It doesn't get to shut us all down. Now, what the mayor is saying is, well, if I see people not wearing their mask, I'm going to shut this down. The mayor doesn't have the power to do that. He just doesn't. The least restrictive way to do that, even if he saw somebody, then he could call the police and say, make those individuals wear their mask. It is not to shut down the world's largest demonstration of political assembly and speech. Because he doesn't like what's happening. He's going to pretend it's all about people and we're just trying to protect safety. Are your liquor stores open? Is every grocery store open? Are your restaurants open? Shut up. It's just facile, and it should anger anybody who listens to that. So we talk about this in our case. The other side. So what happened here? We had a 2.5 hour hearing on our motion for application for TRO yesterday, starting at 4:15. Along with our case, which is for the Republican Party of Texas, our friend Jared Woodfill had filed a case on behalf of Kathy Adams and a number of delegates who were attending. They are intended third-party beneficiaries of the contract. The opposing counsel didn't want to recognize that, but they have a stake. Delegates have something to say about this too. I have reservations that have been made through these things, for the convention, depending upon this contract. And so, as an individual, I have an interest as well. The court didn't want to do that. What the court did is the court said, "I hear that hospitals are nearly full." And the other side said, well, we have Dan Crenshaw. Dan Crenshaw wants you guys to be virtual. As though Dan Crenshaw is somehow some authority. I would remind everybody who pretends to play in this legal world that a TRO, temporary restraining order, is usually based on the pleadings. It's pleadings. It's not based on random meanderings and thoughts of the judge. It's not based on random thoughts from somebody who may have a misunderstanding about what his role is in this party as servant and not master, Mr. Crenshaw. But people sometimes forget this. And the reality is that I'll just admit it here, I made a fundamental mistake and that I didn't ask for a record at the beginning of the hearing. In my world, up here in Tarrant County and Dallas County, usually it's kind of assumed. If you got a district court proceeding that's important, there's going to be a hearing. Nobody asked for one, so we didn't have one. That's too bad. But judges are supposed to adjudicate applications for temporary restraining orders based on the pleadings and not on their random meanderings or thoughts concerning some biased viewpoint of a news cycle. There were some other things I wanted to show you. Let's make sure that we don't have a response. So we filed an appeal this morning, and that was fun. I just kind of looked over and reviewed it. My friend Tyler Talbert down in Waco filed that on behalf of the party. We don't have a response yet. And so I thought I'd show you this just so everybody can see it. Warren plus full display, there you go. Okay, this is the Legislative Reference Library of Texas. I show this every once in a while. This is where you can go and see all of the GA-29, GA-28. GA-29 is the mask order that says that you got to wear a mask unless you're eating or drinking or doing lots of things. That's lots of holes in it, which we appreciate. So that's that. I wanted to show you, this is the dashboard for COVID-19 cases for Harris County and Houston. I find this interesting and amusing because they have the case chart and they have the cases by day. They don't have a fatality. They don't have a fatality. They're not showing you how many people are actually dying. They want to go, oh, we got all this testing, lots of testing, and cases are going up. Yes, they are, because you're testing more. But where are the deaths? Oh, the deaths don't show quite this spike that they all want to talk about. Let's go look. Here's the Houston Chronicle, which I wouldn't throw as far as I need to. I'll make this bigger so you can see it better. But this is what they've reported, and I've read three free articles, and that's all I'm going to get. Look how many deaths. This is on July 4th. We had 5 deaths in the Houston area. On July 6th, we had 0. July 7th, 6, 9, and 6. Does this look like a big spike to you? Big spike? No. If anything, it's a little on the low trend. We had a big dip here. I wonder what happened here. Oh, look, there's a bunch of public protests, and boom, there you go. So you want to know your spike? Who's responsible for your spike? Protesters outside that were outside, but they were not practicing safe distancing, etc. Whatever they did, there was a spike right. There's a spike here in comparison to the middle of late May. And so things are going, to me, this looks like it's statistically within the, who knows whether this person, 6 people actually died of COVID. They might have died with COVID, but they were 85 years old. And so they also died of pneumonia, and they also died of 15 other things. And I'm not trying to make light of that. If you try to make light of death, then you're just being a jerk. Don't do that. I wanted to show you one other place where we can look at the COVID deaths. Oh, so I downloaded this. This is in you can download the actual data. Can you see this? So,
It's got some lag.
what's that?
It's got some lag.
Okay, so this is and I highlighted Harris County just so you can see this. This is the actual data. It's cumulative, right? So deaths are increasing, yes. If you have one more death today than you did yesterday, then deaths are increasing. That should be seen. Now, this varies a little bit different from the Houston Chronicle, and these are supposed to be going from the same place. We're going to zoom this out a little bit. Let's go there. Okay, so we had, so there we go. So you'll see the last several days. Here we say that on June 3rd to June 4th, we have an increase of 8 deaths, and then on June 5th you had 0 or 5, and then June 6th you had 0, and then June 7th. So it's 5, 5, and 1. So this is not a big spike in deaths because we're finding out more and more the kids are basically bulletproof, and the old folks, just like everything else, they get taken down like with pneumonia or the ordinary flu or anything else. Is it serious? Yeah, serious. This is not a laughable thing. But does it mean that everybody has to stay home? As long as you're going to have your restaurants open, as long as you're going to have your liquor stores open, don't tell me that this is so serious that you can't have political speech. We live for reasons, and so we just want to live our lives and be reasonable and safe. And unless you drive around in an M1A1 Abrams tank, you can't tell me, or a big truck, you can't tell me that you do everything for your safety. What's my favorite is when somebody says you just want people to die with somebody who's morbidly obese. Okay, it looks you haven't been taking care of yourself for a long time. Don't tell me about your care about your health. Anyway, so that's real document, real data. Deaths are what matter. So where are we today? Well, any minute now, I hope that we're going to find out. Let's just do this search again and see if we've got a response. We're hoping that we're going to see. We're hoping we're going to see something from the Supreme Court today. What we'll have is an application for writ of mandamus, and that is useful. And there's a strange law somebody hacked off a state legislator some time ago that says that you can ask for a writ of mandamus to stop even a non-government actor from interfering in some tangible way with a state convention. And I mean, it talks about state conventions. So that's what we were asking for. We're saying the convention should go forward. It shouldn't be allowed to play these games by saying we're going to allow these kinds of protests because we like them. And then we're going to use the spike that they caused to shut down your political speech completely and totally within days of it. It's a game. People should recognize that it's a game that it is. So we're hoping to hear that. Now, we do have a 5 to 8 hour injunction. Just so we all know, when you have an application for a TRO in a lawsuit, that's followed up with an injunction hearing, a temporary injunction. And that temporary injunction is going to kind of control the conditions by which everybody operates until the trial is held. So even if we're denied our everything, and we have to go to a virtual, or we have to go out to some cow pasture somewhere, or whatever we got to do, we still have a lawsuit. And I'm pretty confident we're going to win that lawsuit because this is just complete legal garbage. It is beneath what any elected official should do. It is naked, transparent power just being abused by the mayor and his supporters. They can talk all their smack all day long, but it still matters. What we know is that they are perfectly happy with marching with an unsafe parade because it's political speech that they approve of, and they're willing to shut down and cost the Republican Party of Texas hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we're going to take them to the trial court. Now, will we win or lose? I never talk smack about that because we're going to be in a Democrat-dominated area with a Democrat judge. And just like yesterday, when that judge should not have been talking about who cares what Dan Crenshaw thinks or who cares what somebody says about hospitals. Hey, the hospitals are all full. Guess what? That's what hospitals do. They'll take all the business. That's what they're about. And as soon as you let them, they'll be full. That's how they make the most amount of money. Does that mean they can't handle more COVID patients? That doesn't mean that at all. Not a bit. So talk to hospital administrators who've been starving because our governor and these yahoos have been shutting them down for the last several months, saying elective surgeries are no good. Oh, sure, the last treatment of several cancer treatments, you can put that off. There are horror stories after horror stories, and you'll say, well, that's not elective. Mistakes happen whenever you start getting involved and interfering with people and their doctors. Anyway, I think that's all I've got, unless there's a question. Did any questions pop up?
I don't see any questions.
Well, that's good. All right, I'm going to try to do this every week until all this is all done. I'll tell you that we're working on a nursing home case. We're working on a bar case. It's a smaller bar case than the other one that's been filed. It's going to be more about just bars and about why You shouldn't have straightforward shutting down everybody. People want to think this is a Star Club. We're really talking about neighborhood bars like Cheers. Restaurants are over there acting, doing whatever they want, packed to the gills, acting like bars because the bars are closed and the bar cannot open no matter what it does. No matter what it does. That's unfair. We also have a contact tracing case I expect to file next week. I've been threatening that for weeks, but now we're getting it together. If you have any questions, feel free to holler. And until next time, I'm Warren Norrid of Norrid Law. Please like or subscribe or whatever it is that you're doing because that helps us with the SEO.
Where can we find the filing with the Supreme Court?
You can find the filing with the Supreme Court. I will show you how to do that right now. I'm just gonna do this so that you can do this. Warren and Chrome. There we go. So what I would do is, first of all, I would use DuckDuckGo instead of Google whenever I can. Supreme Court, Texas. Supreme Court, Texas. And find my case. I was just, can I do that right there? Oh, look at that. I happen to know what the case number is, so I can do that.
Can you read that case number to us?
Case number is 20-0525. And it's not being pulled up right now. So let's see if it's in the research. The Supreme Court had some serious problems not too long ago, and all the appellate courts did. And so nothing was working well. And let's see if I can, this may not be something that you can easily get, but it may be something that you can get. If somebody wants it, I think that we actually filed it. It's under, I think you can go get it from the RPT. Let's try this. Go over here. Maybe easier than we think. Republican Party of Texas. I don't know. There's our lawsuit and then there's our appeal, which is a little bit different because but it has our lawsuit in it. And I think that we posted our lawsuit on the website of Facebook. Let me see if this is true. Let me see if this is true. There's a website, so let's see, what is this? That is our, click here for the lawsuit. There you go, right there, boom. All right, so let's back that up a little bit. If you go to the Republican Party of Texas Facebook site, and then you'll see yesterday at 2:03 is the posting, and you click on that, and you go to this site, which is James Dickey's, our chair commented on the website. This morning we filed the lawsuit against Turner. It says click here for the lawsuit, and then you get the lawsuit. So that is the lawsuit. As far as I know, the only real mistake here is that I said our cycles are semi-annual when it's biannual or quadrennial, depending on how you want to look at it.
Oh.
But I said semi, and that's wrong. I've been chided multiple times, and so my apologies. This was a team effort, by the way, so I'll share the blame. Wade Emmert, who's the general counsel, did a great job. Started this thing, then I picked it up. Briscoe Kane, of course, is always in the mix. So it's been a lot of fun. Who else signed this? So we had, I almost forgot Kevin Fulton. So he was part of the mix too. So there's your legal team. And then when we talked about the appeal, while we were working on the obvious hearing that we were going to lose yesterday afternoon, our friend Tyler Talbert was working on the appeal. And so so now we know something. Breaking news. So we're not going to know. We're not going to know until tomorrow at best. That's okay. It's better than nothing. Supreme Court has asked the real parties in interest file a response. The real parties in interest is going to be the city and the convention center. So by Saturday at 5 p.m. Wow. Okay. So then the Supreme Court's going to work all night or all day, and we can hope that they do something. This puts us all into a bit of a tizzy. And so 5 o'clock Saturday, the city has to respond. And what that will mean is that, oh, good grief. In both cases, this is our case, and then it's also Jared Woodfield's case on behalf of the delegates with Kathy Adams and the gang. Look, we can look at that real quick. We're probably running out of time for people to have peace on this thing. So let's see, just switch to display, 1 plus full display. There we go. Is this ours or is this theirs? So that's gonna be a little bit of a nightmare. So we have to figure out whether we really want to have an injunction hearing on Monday, which will just be a disaster. Because what we'll wind up doing is having 5 to 8 hours of that's ours, right? And so of hearing followed by some judge saying, "Yeah, thanks. I appreciate all this input, but it looks as though I'm not going to do this." And so. That's hard tough. So we have to talk about things. So Saturday, 5 o'clock, City of Dallas or City of Houston gets to do its thing, and then we can only hope that the Supreme Court will respond Saturday evening. Wow, that's going to be a lot. So we have hard questions to answer. So with that uncertainty, you can watch RPT. I think that there's something that you can text something to the RPT and get up to the date news, and they'll send you. Let's see if I can. You can text a thing to a place, and then you'll get the up to date, or you can just pay attention to. Certainly, if you follow this, then you'll get it. You'll find it, and then of course I'll post something too. So anyway, thanks for participating. Make sure again to like and subscribe and all those things, and we will talk to you at another time. Thanks and good day.